Welcome, everyone. I'm here with Alex Kronstein. Welcome, Alex. We're glad to have you on to talk about your new documentary, Exposing the Truth About ABA, or Exposing Truths About ABA. So Alex is from Nova Scotia, Canada. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Well, I'm autistic. I'm 34 years old, officially diagnosed when I was 26. I'm the chapter leader of Autistics United Nova Scotia, which is the local chapter of Autistics United Canada. We're the only national organization that is totally run by actually autistic people. We're not a registered nonprofit. We're just like a grassroots org. We have 5 chapters across the country. Mine is the third. The one I lead is the third chapter. It was founded in late 2018, and we work often with we work closely with A4A Ontario, and sometimes also with LAST, London Autistic Standing Together, a small group in London, Ontario. So that's what we do. I've written frequently for the Nova Scotia Advocate. I haven't written for them in a while because I've been so busy with other things. That's mostly what my autistic activism does. I also am the founder of the International Day of Protest Against ABA, and I coined a certain phrase, which, as you can see, is on my T-shirt, which I designed myself.
Ixnay on the Bixpa. Yes, we were talking about that yesterday.
BICPA.
Bigpa. Nice. Okay, I want you to tell us about that because everybody wants to hear about it. Tell me about that day, how it got started, because I couldn't remember all the details from our conversation. But tell us about how that came about.
Well, it was in 2017. It was on August 31st, 2017, that I had discovered there was this ABAer from Hawaii who writes under the name Behavior Babe. She had created this just a moment. Hang on. So what she had done is she had created this fake expansion pack for Cards Against Humanity, and it was these cards making light of various abusive practices from ABA. They made light of things like physical restraint, skin shocks, among other things, and contained some incredibly disgusting words. Like one of them used the R word, actually. And so as soon as I discovered that these cards had been made, I made a Facebook post which quickly went semi-viral, and they appear to have been created by at least a few different ABAers, and it was up until that point, up until I exposed them, all the comments on her Facebook had been very positive. And some people actually said they wanted to use those cards in their own practice. So after I exposed this, my post went semi-viral, and she quickly got a whole mess of very nasty comments on her on the Facebook post regarding the cards. And soon she removed them and gave a less than sincere apology. And then we had a couple of articles written about them. And that's what really prompted me to decide, like, we got to do something about ABA, because the fact that these cards were made and the fact that so many ABAers loved them shows there's a huge cultural problem in ABA.
Yeah, you showed us the cards. I don't want to post the link that you showed us before because I don't even want to I don't even want that. I can never unsee those cards, but they were so disgusting and enraging. I mean, if you have a Cards Against Humanity pack, I mean, I have all of the packs right behind me on my bookshelf. I love to play that game. But you can just imagine how vile these cards were. I mean, they were just nasty. And the fact that so many people found that funny about abusing our children, I don't have the words, Alex. I just don't have the words. So tell us about our day on August 31st.
So the first ABA protest day was in 2018, and it was just an online thing where people can just like reach, I guess, say why ABA is bad, share things on Facebook and Twitter all they want. Second one was last year, and the third one's going to be this year.
What should we be doing?
Well, there's an event page.
Oh,
okay, there.
Got it.
The event page. So yeah, this year we're going to we've had some success. Like the FDA has banned the shock devices used at the Judge Rotenberg Center. We've had about a couple of studies come out against ABA, like one from the U.S. Department of Defense, one from the Kennedy Institute of Ethics Journal, and one from the Journal of Child Psychology and Psychiatry. And we all saw an article from Alfie Kohn about that, which was excellent. So yeah, more and more people are speaking up against ABA.
Okay.
So this year, it's probably going to be a fairly big event. I just think it's going to get bigger and bigger every year. We were hoping to do like some sort of physical event or something like that, but of course, COVID and all that stuff kind of,
Okay, so let's go on to your new documentary that you're making. Can you tell us what it's all about and tell us why you decided to make it?
Sure. Well, I just figured we really had to keep up the anti-ABA stuff going. So it was around that same time. It was shortly after the whole Cardgate incident where I decided to get started on like a documentary film. So I started doing a little bit of fundraising for that in 2018. We did a crowdfunding campaign for it through UCaring, which has since been acquired by GoFundMe. That one didn't go as well as we were hoping for. Only raised about $3,000. But I'm going to be doing another crowdfunding campaign in the coming weeks. We're going to use a platform called Seed and Spark, which was originally founded specifically for filmmakers. And this one actually, in terms of success rate, it actually has a higher success rate than Indiegogo or Kickstarter for getting your.
Sweet.
So they also offer like educational bits regarding like how to create a pitch video, how to write crowdfunding emails, how to that kind of stuff, how to run a successful crowdfunding campaign, and how to use crowdfunding to build independence as a filmmaker.
Nice.
So I'm going to use that. I just got to make a pitch video and get a few things squared away, and then and probably also have someone to help with the social media side of things, and then we'll be ready to go.
Awesome. So what are you focusing on in the documentary? Are you focusing on like the history of ABA, or are you following the money trail? What is it about?
Well, there'll be a little bit about the history of ABA. We'll have interviews with ABA survivors, neurotypical parents who oppose ABA, as well as some former therapists. And also, plan is to interview some psychology professionals whose methods go against ABA. We're going to include some writings from autistic adults, and we're going to bring them to life using various cinematography techniques and voiceovers. We're going to include some quotes from the Me book by Ivor Lovaas. I shot some. I actually bought a copy of that through a used book site, and what we're going to do is I took the camera and I zoomed in on the scenes on the bits that I really wanted to include. So we're going to do that. May have to reshoot some of them.
I'm not familiar with that, Alex. What is that?
The Me book. Ivor Lovaas. He's the founder of ABA.
Mm-hmm.
And the Me book, which was published in 1981, is basically considered the foundational document of ABA. Well, you can find it on the Internet Archive. And let me tell you, some of the stuff you read in that book is just horrific. It's
I believe it.
Yeah, it is like I said, it is the foundational document of ABA. We may also shoot a few reenactments. That's not confirmed just yet, of course. It's all going to be related. Budget's going to have a big impact on that. So yeah, currently I'm actually working on the document, the script for that. I got an Arts Nova Scotia grant earlier this year.
That's awesome.
So I'll be in the next couple of months, I'll be just finishing up the shooting script for that. I'm also currently halfway through an interesting course through Sundance, the Sundance Institute, Sundance Collab it's called, on how to put together a proposal you can pitch to pitch to various funders.
And so this could possibly wind up at the Sundance Festival. Is that right?
No, that's not what I said. No. The Sundance Institute and the Sundance, just because I'm doing something through the Sundance Institute does not have any bearing whether it plays at the Sundance Film Festival.
But I'm not saying that right, but is it a possibility like that it could be featured there or not?
I would have to I would have to submit it to the festival like independently.
Gotcha.
Yeah. There's the Sundance Institute has a documentary film program. It's like a granting program, the Sundance Documentary Fund, which is quite popular. But even if you get funded through the Sundance Documentary Fund, it has no bearing on whether your film gets played at the Sundance Film Festival.
That makes sense.
Totally separate thing. Totally separate.
That makes sense. So are you going to be talking about the different parts of ABA and like the different tactics that they use? Are you going to be highlighting any of that in the ABA documentary?
I would say so, yes. Well, like, some of that stuff will be mentioned through the interview bits with the various interviewees, and also that's the big thing. And also as we during the close-ups of the bits of the Me book and any other archival material we have. Yeah, it's mostly going to be told through the stories of the people we interview. That's the main thing.
Yes, and Alex, did you ever have to go through ABA or no?
Like I said, I wasn't diagnosed until I was 26.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. Joni said, I'm sure you've seen this. It's neurodiversity.com.
That's a thing with featuring Lovaas.
Oh, okay. No, I have not seen that, Joni.
You should.
No.
You really should.
Okay. Joni, can you put that in the gold post for me so that I don't lose it? Alex, you are in my other book club now, right?
Yes.
Right. So we started that book club last July, reading Neurotribes. So that really, it wasn't like a history of ABA because it was like a history of all things autism, but it did go through a lot of the information about Lovaas, and it mentioned Skinner in there, and it talked about the early trials with the children and how they and how, like, you know, with autistic children, they say that autistic children are not not compassionate or not loving.
Right.
So it did talk about how they got those children to hug their caretakers by shocking them. So there, you know, it did highlight a lot of the earlier tactics that they used, and a lot of parents will say, well, that's not like what we do now, and I will always say that, well, you know, they just banned shock treatments in America at the Judge Rothenberg Center. So
yeah, and I would also mention the Me book does actually have a brief mention of Robert Cagle. He is briefly mentioned in it. And as you know, Robert and Lynn Cagle, they are the founders of PRT. They're pretty awful themselves.
What's PRT?
Pivotal Response Training. You might remember Lynn Cagle, the co-founder of PRT. She was the ABA-er who appeared in that episode of Super Nanny.
You know, I saw that one.
Yeah, so did I.
Oh, that was so bad. It made me want to like throw my shoe at the TV. It really did.
Actually, on the Super Nanny website, I saw some of the stuff that Joe Frost was saying about autism, and it was pretty horrible too.
It's bad. I mean, yeah, it was bad. I mean, because I watched it, of course. I don't watch that show often, but
Well, I
I
don't
did
think it's
see
on
it. It
anymore.
popped up on my YouTube, and
Yeah.
it was like, oh, Super Nanny for an autistic child. So I was like, okay, well, let me just see what she's doing. And the first thing she did was bring in a BCBA, like first thing, and then without even knowing the child or anything, she's over there withholding good things from the child to make the child use a word. It was bad. It was bad.
Mm-hmm. But I also want to mention something about neurotribes there, Megan. That thing about the section on Lovaas and company. I gotta say, Steve Silverman did receive some criticism, a fair bit of criticism on that section for not actually taking a stand against ABA, because in the book he just basically says it in like a very, for lack of a
Matter
better
of fact, yeah,
bold, matter of fact term, and doesn't actually take a stand against it. And
yeah.
there's a couple of blog entries of reviews of the book that suggest he should have taken a bit of a harder stand against it.
We had Steve Silverman on in the book club, and he did an interview with us. And I mean, he's gotten a lot of criticism just for various parts of the book, especially like Asperger, and he catches it from all sides on with that book.
I want to mention Erin Human actually wrote a really good review of Neurotribes.
Who is Erin Human?
She's another autistic parent of autistic kids. I think I may have showed you her website before.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but no, she's really good. She's really good.
I'm so thankful for that book, for just opening my eyes to all of the things I would never have known. And I'm sure that he takes it from all sides, and he gets it from all sides with that book. But just, it's so big. I mean, it's so popular and it's reached so many people. So I know that, I have only reached a couple thousand people, and I get it from all sides myself. So I can just imagine the criticism that he receives for it. But I'm just thankful for it because, I didn't know any of that stuff before. It gave me a more complete understanding of like where everything came from, why we are where we are. I recommend it to anybody because you don't get that much information from any other one book, I don't think. L'Oreal, yes, preferred items. That is what I was looking for. Withholding preferred items. Yeah, on the nanny, on the Super Nanny show, they were swinging the child, and of course the child wanted to be swinged, and the BCBAer was saying, okay, now just stop until he tells you to swing. The child didn't speak any words. So his first word is not going to be swing or whatever it was. I mean, either way. I mean, the child was crying because the mom wouldn't swing the child. It was terrible. Read the article I posted. They really think our kids are broken and that they never address their social and emotional health. Yeah. Joni said, autistic kids are not broken. Thinking differently is not being broken. Learning differently is not broken. Needing different supports is not broken. Yeah. Talk about that for us, Alex.
Well, like PRT, which is what the one that the Kegels founded, that's the version that's used here in Nova Scotia as part of the Early Intensive Behavioral Intervention, EIBI program. And Liv, who I think is on this, who is watching us right now, Liv, I hope you don't mind here what I'm about to say. She has an autistic son, and she's actually going to be featured quite prominent. She and her family are going to be featured quite prominently in the doc, actually. Because after he was first diagnosed, that he was put on the wait list for EIBI right away, because that's what happens with young children here in Nova Scotia. And she says, no, she doesn't want, they don't want to get involved with it at all. And she actually sent me a PRT handout that that she had received, that the EIBI people had sent her, And as soon as she read that, she basically knew no, she didn't want to get involved in them at all. And also, in one of my articles for the Nova Scotia Advocate, I actually highlighted a bunch of quotes directly from the Kegels, and they're pretty horrifying, I gotta tell you.
They're calling me at least once a week to try to get me to change my mind about removing him for the list. We're in America, so we do have early intervention, and that's a universal thing for any child that has any sort of delay from birth to 2 years old, I think, usually, or 3 years old. So any child that has any delay, that's not even, they don't have to have a diagnosis. Like my older son, he had torticollis in his neck, where he was always like this. All of his pictures look like this for the first year of his life because his neck wouldn't line up. So he got early intervention for that. So in Nova Scotia, it sounds like, is this the same program or is this a specific program for autistic children? Liv says it's a different program. Okay. So it's more specific for autistic children, and it's basically ABA, it sounds like. So in the United States, early intervention does not equal autism. I know that we had this chat in our meeting with Kieran Rose. We were all talking about early intervention because basically ABA infiltrated almost every other discipline, right? So they're trying to take over speech therapy. They're trying to infiltrate into the school systems. And so now I think that they're trying to infiltrate into the early intervention, because in some places you can get in a BCBA through early intervention. I think that's because there are parents who have fought for that. But early intervention does not equal ABA. So I think that it's like ABA is making early intervention get a bad name. I don't want to add to that because early intervention is really a fantastic program and makes therapies more accessible for all of our kids.
And of course, these days, every time every time autistic people hear the phrase early intervention, they immediately think ABA, and a lot of the time, that's exactly what it is.
I know, that's exactly what Karen and I, we were both talking about, because for my blog, I get requests all the time for other bloggers will ask me, hey, can you put a link to my blog in one of your articles, shout us out or recommend us? So sometimes I'll go and look. And so the last time I did, it seemed like a really nice page, a really nice website. So I took a look around, and it didn't say ABA anywhere. It said that early intervention was key for autistic children, and that it should be done like 40 hours a week or something like that. And so basically they were using the words early intervention in place of ABA therapy, when early intervention does not ever do 10 hours a day or 8 hours a day of therapy. They come into your house and they do whatever. Like, early intervention in America is not ABA therapy, but that's what they were. It was like they were just sneaking ABA in there almost. And I just, it makes me mad. Oh, there's Carmen. Hey, Carmen. In the history of ABA in Canada, there was a former postal worker named Michelle Dawson that sued the government in 2004. Her testimony was shocking. She argued that ABA was an abomination akin to torture, whose goal was changing the mind and personality. She lost, though.
I will say, though, she's not just a former postal worker.
What is she?
She's also an autism researcher, actually.
While you're looking that up, Joni said, yes, it has been co-opted by ABA. And that does not make me happy, Joni.
Yeah, around the same time, shortly after she published her iconic piece, The Misbehavior of Behaviorists, she joined a research team with Laurent Motron at the University of Montreal. Yeah, she's really good. She's really good.
The doctors recommended ABA immediately to me at diagnosis. This is the problem. It didn't say it didn't give any warnings about this could potentially be harmful to your child's emotional health. or this could potentially give your child PTSD in the future. No warnings, right, from the doctor, and no other than the warnings that you need to do it or else. Emily said, same here. It wasn't presented as here's an option. It was here's the wait list to get a BCBA. It is a problem, and it's negligent of the doctors. I will say that. Right. If you don't, your child won't succeed. And then they don't even really tell you why, though. I mean, it's almost as if it's like the big boogeyman, like, you better do this or else what? I mean, or else what? Or else they'll, like, it's almost as if you better do this or they'll be stuck in time as a 3-year-old and never grow up. You know, they'll be 3 forever. Was never warned at all, just told it was the only option available if we wanted to improve. Early intervention in the U.S. is meant to be whatever services a child may need. And as Megan said, it's not limited to autistic children. People are supposed to be able to get OT, speech, or whatever is needed. However, ABA is trying to encroach on a lot of things. But you can get individual non-ABA services. Yeah, I mean, when we had early intervention, our children, the twins, were in the NICU for over 28 days. And at least in Virginia, that means that they automatically qualified for early intervention services if you're in the NICU for 28 days or more. So we were automatically referred to early intervention. And we started seeing speech and OT and physical therapy right out of the hospital. So they would come to our house. I didn't have to take them anywhere. They would come and a caseworker would come and assess them. I mean, they were babies at that point, but they would monitor us and just kind of keep their eyes on us and give me, like, do I need anything? Here are some things that you can do. When they're that young, there's not that many things you can do, but you're in the door, you've got therapists, you've got extra eyes. But I didn't even hear the words autism in those sessions at all. What is this about, Alex?
In 2017, Michelle Dawson was awarded the Order of Montreal, which is a fairly significant honor from the city of Montreal.
Is that the postal worker?
Postal worker, autism researcher is what she is now.
Okay.
Postal worker, yes, but she's a lot more than that.
Right.
I must mention that other book, In a Different Key, which got some which is not good at all, does mention Michelle Dawson, but only that she's a former postal worker. It doesn't mention the fact that she's an autism researcher.
Gotcha.
You see, the Order of Montreal, in Canada, we have something called the Order of Canada, which was launched in the mid-'60s. It's a major award given by the Governor General, which is the Queen's representative in Canada, to people from any in any field who has achieved a fairly significant level of achievement in whatever it is. And the provinces have their own orders, and apparently even a few cities have orders, like you see there.
Liv said, it's so frustrating that ABA is basically the only thing recommended at diagnosis. Even OT was brushed off like it wasn't worth doing, when OT has been huge for my son and his sensory needs. Chapter 3 is about OT, sensory integration, and how important occupational therapy is, especially if they have training in sensory integration. So, I mean, I feel you on that. I went through the same thing with my kids. When Julian was diagnosed, doctor basically said to me about anything. It was like, oh, well, that's just autism. Oh, well, that's just autism. Oh, well, that's just autism. Like when I brought up apraxia, Julian doesn't speak, and he has motor issues and all these things. And I said, well, what about apraxia? You don't think that might be a reason? Oh, no, it's just because of his autism, of the autism he has. And it's as if he was dismissed as soon as he got his autism diagnosis, which I thought would open doors to more services. I'm not even sure what services I thought that was going to open doors for, because I didn't even really know about ABA until after the diagnosis. So I think I just wanted answers, like to put a name to what was happening. And it didn't give me any of that. It gave me, oh, he has autism. He has a level 3 autism, and that's it. So here's your thing for ABA. See you in 6 months. And that was it. It is infuriating to me now. And that doctor is retired, thankfully. But I asked him about sensory processing disorders. I asked him about apraxia, about all of these things. And every time he would say, no, all of that is just autism, under the autism umbrella. So no. It took me a year to find my first book about
then
from an autistic author.
reading on his
A whole year to find that book from Naoki. What book was it? The Reason I Jump. And then as soon as I found that just opened up my world to the autistic community. And I hit that ground running. Let's see. Oh, we're going to get them, L'Oreal. We're going to get them. We got to get these. You know how Autism Speaks has the 100-day packet that is infuriating to me. There is a blogger who I think is in the process of working on a different packet to give to parents. And I'm not sure exactly how that's going or whatever. Because I've been Louisa and I and Angelina have been talking about that for a long time. I mean, at least a book list. There we go. L'Oreal says, and if parents don't know other options that are available, they just assume ABA is best for their child. And it's not surprising that most doctors buy into the medical model abomination. It's frustrating because, they'll say, okay, well, if we don't do ABA, then what should we be doing? And like Sarah said in a Zoom meeting a couple weeks ago, you have the option to just do nothing and have fun with your kid. And I think that there's that fear. It's as if the kids will be stuck in time or something. I mean, that's kind of what the doctors are saying. They're not giving really that much information, period. Somebody's messing with us, Alex. Look at the, you're not going to get me started. That's that book you were telling us about, Alex.
Forever Boy, Kate Swenson.
You're not getting me started. Yeah. Talk to us about this, Alex. Evidence-based practices with ABA, because really that's their claim, right? It is the only.
Right. Well, actually, when it comes to the claim it's evidence-based, Alfie Cohen actually in his article pretty much did an excellent job of demolishing that. So I'll just read. Hang on. As he says in his piece, you might assume that those who use the phrase evidence-based practice are offering a testable claim, asserting that the practices in question are supported by good data. In reality, the phrase is more of an all-purpose honorific, wielded to silence dissent, intimidate critics, and imply that anyone who criticizes what they're doing is rejecting science itself. It's reminiscent of the way a religious leader might declare that what we've been told to do is God's will, end of discussion.
I think it's important to note that a lot of the evidence that they are citing is evidence that they have done themselves. It's almost as if like a pharmaceutical company did their own clinical trials on a drug that they were, putting out and didn't have any oversight on that. Let's just say it was evidence-based. Let's say the evidence was good.
Right.
At what cost? Like they say, okay, well, it works. Okay, so, all right, let's say it works. We can get our kids to comply with what we want them to do. But at what cost? A lot of things work. I could click train my children if I wanted to, right? People do that too. It's the same thing. It's behaviorism. Behaviorism does work. but at what cost?
Exactly.
Let's just assume that the evidence is real. They don't take any evidence later on. They don't take any data later on to see how those kids turned out emotionally and how their mental health is later on in life. They don't do any of that. When do you think y'all are going to be doing the pitch for the crowd or having the crowdfunding up?
Well, that's a matter of when I'm able to rent the camera gear for it, just for a week or so. And I can edit it on my laptop at home. I've got the professional editing software that I need. Because it just see, I usually rent my gear from the Atlantic Filmmakers Cooperative, which is a local film collective in Halifax. That's where I rent my gear from, and they got super good rates. Right now, it's just that their rentals are on hold for a little bit, just because they have new procedures for COVID and all that kind of stuff. So it's just a matter of when I'm going to be able to get the camera, and then I'm probably going to try and book it for as soon as they have it available, which hopefully should be early September. And as soon as that happens, we'll shoot it and I'll edit it, and then we'll start the campaign.
And then have y'all gotten any new guidelines on COVID procedures for documentary filmmakers? I remember you were waiting on that.
They're currently being worked on as we speak. Should be out by September.
Yay. Okay, cool.
The plan is to do some travel for this. There's going to be the nature of this doc will require a couple of trips to the state, but of course that's not going to be able to happen until things blow over a little bit.
Yeah, because they're not going to let you back in if you come down here.
Well, no. What I'm saying is, as soon as it's safe to travel internationally, again, that's when we'll be able to do our stuff. In a couple of cases, though, in a few cases for the people I want to interview in the States, it might actually be a bit of a better option if they flew to Halifax. Just for we won't be able to do that with. I wouldn't do that with all my planned interviewees in the States, but there are a few I might be able to do that with. Yeah. When I do the crowdfunding campaign, I'm going to be building an email list.
Yeah.
It's not just through Facebook and Twitter I'm going to share with. I'm actually going to do an email list. So if anyone who's listening right now wants to be on that email list, just let me know, and just provide me with your email, and I'll add you to the list for sure. And
there you go. Y'all can email him, and then he'll have your email addresses. Put Seed and Sparkle mailing list in the subject line.
Seed and Spark. Yeah.
Spark. I just had sparkle on the brain. Spark. Seed and Spark mailing list in the subject line if you would like to be added to the mailing list. Perfect. Thank you, Alex. And I will see you in a Zoom this week, sir.
Yes, I just got to check. I got a bit of a busy week, so I'll check with my schedule and see which day I can do.
Okay. All right. Well, it's good talking with you, and it was great chatting with everybody. And I will see you later.
Okay. See you later, Megan.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.